1950 2903 2026. JTV.
Try to stop, girl. I'm ready to collide. 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 Try to stop, girl. I'm ready to collide.
Ultra, stay out there.
In 2024.
Direct hit on their headquarters in Bint Jabil. In the past 24 hours, 12 paramedics have been killed, taking the death toll since the start of the conflict to more than 50 medical workers. Lebanon's. Right, well, let's have a look at southern Lebanon as well. 2 paramedics have been killed after a direct hit on their headquarters in Bint Jabil. In the past 24 hours, 12 paramedics have been killed, taking the death toll since the start of the conflict to more than 50 medical workers. Lebanon's government is accusing Israel of violating the rules of war. It plans to file a complaint to the UN Security Council. But few expect anything to change, as Zaina Khadr reports from Beirut.
Lives lost, families shattered. The war is taking an unbearable toll on those targeted by Israeli airstrikes. At least 120 of the more than 1,100 people killed in Lebanon were children.
My son is 10 years old, and my nephew is 9 years old, and they were killed. My brother was in his home, an engineer and a municipal council member. Suddenly, the Israeli army targeted this building, and suddenly my son was gone, my sister's son was gone, and my brother was gone.
It's a story told time and time again as Israel intensifies its offensive in areas where Hezbollah has a presence. But Israel's actions extend beyond military targets. Paramedics have been burying their colleagues. Dozens have been deliberately targeted and killed. International human rights groups point out that medical personnel are afforded special protection during conflict. And that must be respected. But Israel is accused of acting with impunity, as it did in the previous confrontation with Hezbollah in 2024.
These attacks are unacceptable, and there are no excuses. They violate all international laws, and we, the ministry, we reject all Israeli accusations against these medics.
Israel is also destroying civilian infrastructure and killing those documenting these attacks. The 3 journalists killed on Saturday weren't the first to be deliberately targeted, and Israel is also destroying civilian infrastructure and killing those documenting these attacks. The 3 journalists killed on Saturday weren't the first to be deliberately targeted. An Israeli drone hit their vehicle, then opened fire at 2 of them on the road after they made it out of the car.
Civilians, journalists, they're not sparing anyone. They were documenting the attacks and filming the defeat and losses of the Israeli occupying army at the hands of the resistance. That is what Israel does.
Lebanon says it will file a complaint with the UN Security Council, but officials say they don't expect anything to change. Israel, they say, has never adhered to the Geneva Conventions, which govern the treatment of civilians during armed conflict. Human rights groups and UN officials have been critical of Israel's forced evacuation and mass displacement orders in Lebanon. More than 1.2 million people have been forced from their homes. Many are in the streets. While Israel says this is meant to protect civilians, human rights groups say emptying whole areas may amount to a war crime and a strategy to permanently depopulate the areas. The war is entering its second month, and the UN is warning of an imminent humanitarian catastrophe. Israeli strikes have already destroyed much of civilian life, and there are threats of more to come. Sana Khuder, Al Jazeera, Beirut. The UN is warning of an imminent humanitarian catastrophe. Israeli strikes have already destroyed much of civilian life, and there are threats of more to come. Al Jazeera, Beirut.
Derby in an horrific incident that has understandably shocked the city. Officers were on scene just seconds after a car collided with pedestrians who were in a night out in Derby. While none of those injured in the incident have suffered life-threatening physical injuries, the impact on them, I am sure, is just beginning to be felt. While words cannot change the devastating events of last night, I know that I am holding them in my thoughts, as are my colleagues across the force. I want to thank all those who responded so quickly to last night's events, in particular the members of the public who came to the aid of those injured and helped provide first aid. I can confirm that the suspected driver was arrested by officers on the other side of the city centre 7 minutes after the incident took place. He was safely stopped in Station Approach, where the bridge crosses over towards Pride Park. This swift action would not have been possible without eyewitnesses who contacted us about the vehicle's whereabouts as it was driven away from the and have understood the need for those businesses to remain closed today. I'd also like to thank people who live within the scene for their patience whilst we carry out our work. Our investigation into the circumstances is still in its early stages. A 36-year-old who lives in Derby remains in police custody and is being interviewed by detectives. We believe this is an isolated incident and there is no wider risk to the public. The arrested man is originally from India, but has lived in the UK for a number of years. At this instant, and there is no wider risk to the public. The arrested man is originally from India, but has lived in the UK for a number of years. At this stage, I am unable to give any further details about him. As is common practice for an incident of this nature, our officers are leading the investigation with the support of counter-terrorism policing colleagues. I would like to clarify that this does not mean the incident is currently being treated as terrorism. Finally, I would like to thank the public and members of the media for your patience and understanding while we work through this extremely complex inquiry, and we will update people as soon as we can. Thank you.
Stay where you are! Stay where you are! Put your hands up! Put your hands up now! Do not move! Keep your hands! If you... Kenzie, hands out your pocket now. You put your hands in your pocket. I'm going to... Hands out your pocket! This has got 2 shots, that's got 2, there's 4 of you. If you move, you will get tasered. Do you understand?
Just stay... we'll just stay like this. They move, then we'll just taser them. Right. Stay there.
On top of the roof.
If you move, you will get tasered. Do you understand?
Just stay. We'll just stay like this. They move, then we'll just taser them. Right. Stay there.
Just so you know, awareness, there are bags on top of the roof.
Hands here. Yeah, at the minute, yeah. Guys, at the minute, you're all under arrest on suspicion of being in possession of intensified Class A drugs. The bag that we've seen you throw on the roof, my colleague has said is full of Class A drugs. 4 males under arrest. Peewits all under arrest on suspicion of being in possession of intensified Class A drugs. The bag that we've seen you throw on the roof, my colleague has said is full of Class A drugs. 4 males under arrest, Peewits Class A. We're going to need a couple of vans, I'm afraid. We've got 4 are on bikes, 4 prisoners and quite a lot of drugs here.
I've got to be in for my licence soon. I need to get home. I'm trying to... Your licence is
going to be revoked, Leo. You're not going home.
Why?
Yeah. Leo.
Mate, you're sharp.
Unfortunately...
Licence soon. I need to get home. I'm trying to...
Your licence is going to be revoked, Leo. You're not going home.
Why?
Yeah. Leo.
Mate, you're sharp.
Unfortunately, mate, you know what's happened. You're not going home.
All right.
Hold on to him. What's happened? You're not going home.
All right. All right, all right.
Hold on to him.
Let's see.
Handling this airplane is a physical thing, unlike a fighter that's they stay on that boom.
What are the circumstances where you send in ground troops? How are you thinking about that?
I don't even want to talk about it now. I mean, that's. I don't think it's an appropriate question. You know, I'm not going to answer it. Could there be? Possibly, for a very good reason. Have to be a very good reason. And I would say if we ever did that, they would be so decimated that they wouldn't be able to fight at the ground level. For a very good reason. Have to be a very good reason. And I would say if we ever did that, they would be so decimated that they wouldn't be able to fight at the ground level.
Meanwhile, the Pentagon is reportedly preparing for weeks of ground operations in Iran as 3,500 American troops arrive in the Middle East.
Trey Yanks is live in Tel Aviv with the latest. Trey, good morning.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. After 4 weeks of war in the Middle East, the conflict grinds on. Reports indicate the United States is preparing for possible weeks of ground operations inside of Iran that would include thousands of U.S. service members. Over the weekend, the USS Tripoli, manned with 3,500 troops, including 2,500 Marines, arrived ground operations inside of Iran that would include thousands of U.S. service members. Over the weekend, the USS Tripoli, manned with 3,500 troops, including 2,500 Marines, arrived in the CENTCOM area of operation. If an operation is ordered to seize Iranian oil facilities or enriched uranium, it's expected that both special forces and conventional forces would be used. This does come as the United States and Israel launched a series of strikes against Iranian military infrastructure over the weekend, including hitting Iran's nuclear development facilities.
In Operation Rising Lion, we hit very hard the entire chain of nuclear production in Iran. We hit everything from the production capabilities in the factories, all the components, to the centrifuges and beams, and so on. The entire production chain was hit. It was affected. It was delayed, but it was not completely destroyed.
With the Israelis looking east, they're also looking north to the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah. You can see some ground forces that are going from northern Israel into southern Lebanon just over. With the Israelis looking east, they're also looking north to the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah. You can see some ground forces that are going from northern Israel into southern Lebanon just over the weekend. That U.S.-born Israeli soldier, 22 years old, killed in a Hezbollah rocket attack. Hezbollah has continued to launch dozens of rockets over the border into northern Israel each and every day. And the Israelis today say that they last night went into southern Lebanon through southern Syria. Attack. Hezbollah has continued to launch dozens of rockets over the border into northern Israel each and every day. And the Israelis today say that they last night went into southern Lebanon through southern Syria, an indication that they are taking the fight to Hezbollah through multiple different fronts into southern Lebanon. All of this coming as the Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen got involved in the fight over the weekend, launching at least one ballistic missile into Israel. Guys.
All right. Thanks, Trey.
Deputy Assistant Secretary of State Joel Rubin, along with foreign correspondent Shelby Wilder. She joins us live from London today after spending months in Ukraine reporting on the evolving military tactics on the Eastern European battlefront, including those drones. Good to see you both. Shelby, we appreciate the coverage you've been able to give us, and I know it's been so dangerous for you this whole time over in Ukraine, over on the Eastern Front here. So just talk about what you're seeing there, and then explain to us how these drones are used and where they're shot at. I know they go into civilian areas, anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Russia has fired more than 57,000 of these kamikaze Shahed Geran drones at Ukraine throughout this full-scale invasion. And Russia launches them by the hundreds every single day. I mean, this week, in the span of 24 hours, Russia launched nearly 1,000 drones at Ukraine. Now, Ukraine, because of this, has really gained this incredible experience at intercepting these drones, and they're incredibly effective. But when we do see these kamikaze drones get through, they still bring death and destruction in their wake. And these are very cheap weapons, Russia's favorite weapon to use in its war as this grinds on. And now we have seen their partnership with Iran, which is using them as well in the Gulf.
Joel, I want to get your thoughts on that propaganda video that we showed. It was obviously the AI-generated one, but symbolizing the Statue of Liberty, a nuclear bomb potentially going after it. I mean, it's extremely propaganda video that we showed. It was obviously the AI-generated one, but symbolizing the Statue of Liberty, a nuclear bomb potentially going after it. I mean, it's extremely dark and frankly quite terrifying. What do you make of that?
Yeah, Katrina really is speaking directly to what the Iranian
going after it. I mean, it's extremely dark and frankly quite terrifying. What do you make of that?
Yeah, Katrina really is speaking directly to what the Iranian regime thinks and where it's trying to head. And I think that's why we're in a situation we're in right now, because they developed a nuclear program heading towards weapons and never have held back. And now we have a war. And look, really, there are two fronts to this war. There's the kinetic, the on-the-ground fighting, but there is also this digital war and the meme war and the war for public opinion. And this is intended to scare Americans. It's intended to sway global opinion towards their side. I think it backfires. I think demonstrating you want to drop a nuclear weapon on New York should tell the world what the intentions really are of this regime. And certainly they're trying to win in the global digital space.
Shelby, tell us how quickly they're able to make these drones, you know, where they're coming out of, and then the kind of damage they do cause once they make impact.
Yeah, so I just want to note there's lots of different drones that are now being used in this modern warfare. We have the small FPV first-person drones, and then we have these larger Shahed kamikaze drones. Russia produces them in factories across Russia, and they can do that relatively quickly. But what I do, and Russia launches that across all of Ukraine. I mean, the massive strike we saw carried out this week was targeting Western Ukraine, more than 1,000 kilometers from the front line near the Polish border. That was targeting civilians. So Russia is launching this as psychological warfare as well across Ukraine. But what Ukraine has developed, and that is what they've taken with their expertise to the Middle East, are these interceptor drones. And those drones, Ukraine produces, 3D prints them 24/7 across Ukraine and uses those to play a game of cat and mouse to essentially hunt down these incoming Russian or Iranian drones, crash into them, explode, and knock them out of the sky. And that is why when this war began in the Middle East, Ukraine stepped up and went to help its Gulf partners. Along with the United States, we know that Zelensky said military experts and interceptor drones were sent to protect U.S. military bases. It stepped up and went to help its Gulf partners. Along with the United States, we know that Zelensky said military experts and interceptor drones were sent to protect U.S. military bases in Jordan because they have such a, again, low cost but effective measures they have developed in taking down these drones.
Joel, want to get your thoughts on this? FBI Director Kash Patel announcing that an IED was found at MacDill Air Force Base in Florida. Patel writing this: a brother and sister have now been indicted. One is in custody for accessory and evidence tampering, and the primary suspect is charged with explosive offenses and is currently in China. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Katrina, look, we're going to likely see a continued uptick in independent attacks as well as potentially coordinated attacks here on the homeland. It's just a sad reality that Iran has historically attacked soft targets, and they have their gun sights. There's a reason why, I should put it this way, why they're the leading state sponsor of terrorism in the world and why they've been designated as such for decades. And so we have to have our guard up. I'm glad that this announcement came out quickly. It's important that we here in the United States are paying attention, just like after September 11th and in the early days of the war against Iraq. We need to pay attention. We need to inform our local police. We need the FBI to hear all tips. And any lead could be potentially one that saves lives.
Yeah, it goes back to that often quoted saying here, especially in New York, if you see something, say something. All right,
That's right.
Shelby, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Trust your run, not your feet, with the Ultra Fit. Ultra, stay out there.
Want a master's degree that fits your life, or one that fits around your full-time job?
Chants of defiance and screams of anguish as they mourn two victims of an Israeli airstrike. One, Jawad, just 11 years old, of an Israeli airstrike. One, Jawad, just 11 years old. Bury me along with your two eyes, my love, this woman cries. Jawad was killed alongside his cousin and an uncle in their home yesterday. The Hezbollah flag is draped over one of the and an uncle in their home yesterday. The Hezbollah flag is draped over one of the coffins. Death to America and death to Israel, some of those gathered shout. Ideological support for Hezbollah here is high, but everyone tells us this family were not involved in any military activity.
It's a civilian place. There is no missiles coming out of here, no nothing. No resistance around here. But we all are resistance. We all Hezbollah, okay, against this enemy, Israel, Netanyahu, and the big liar, Trump.
This was Jawad on the left. On the right, 9-year-old Sajid. Their uncle Raghib was an interior designer. This was the home he had built. And this is what's left of it now.
Well, you can see this home is being
he had built. And this is what's left of it now.
Well, you can see this home has been completely destroyed. A large extended family had been living here. Many of them, in fact, had fled to Beirut and only returned just a few days ago, thinking it was safer. And then the house was targeted.
My child, he was here, and the blood is coming from the head.
Wafa's children and nephews had been playing in the courtyard.
My daughter comes from outside. She said, Mom, Mom, I take it, but my son is here. He's dead.
Do you have any idea why this happened here?
No, nothing here. No, nothing here. They play
Not fishing. Not fishing.
nothing.
Here, no.
Only children, only children play football here.
Israel's army says it's killed hundreds of Hezbollah fighters in response to the group's cross-border attacks. But Israeli tactics here seem a repeat of its actions in Gaza. Today, killing at least 5 paramedics in the south of the country. 3 Lebanese journalists were killed in another strike that the Israeli military acknowledged was targeted and deliberate. It even released its own video of the attack, labelling without proof one of the journalists a Hezbollah member. The victims, Ali Shoaib, Fatima Fatouni, and her brother Mohammed, worked for pro-Hezbollah channels, but were well-known media figures. The killing of journalists, irrespective of their affiliation, is a war crime. At the site of another Israeli attack, we meet Hassan. His sister and her 3-month-old baby were killed yesterday. The child, also named Hassan, was barely older than this war.
I want justice. I want the United Nations to investigate the massacres of civilians that are happening. We're at war, right? There are rules of war.
The Israeli army didn't reply to our questions about who or what they were targeting here. You can see for yourself who the victims were.
Hey, George. How you doing, sir? I just want to talk about. I want to mostly just talk about the whole Western hypocrisy. Hey, George. How you doing, sir? I just want to talk about. I want to mostly just talk about the whole Western hypocrisy about this whole war. I noticed the UN, which I don't know why it still exists, condemned Iranian aggression. I noticed that the EU condemned Iranian aggression. I noticed that everybody is asking Iran to stop attacking the other Gulf countries, but I've not heard any single person talk about the condemn the killing of 180 kids. I hear somebody like Piers Morgan, whom I think is a shapeshifter. You hear people like that, and that's even, I don't know if you watched the interview with Tucker, and they talk about the condemn the killing of 180 kids. I hear somebody like Piers Morgan, whom I think is a shapeshifter. You hear people like that, and that's even, I don't know if you watched the interview with Tucker and the economist lady and all these other, Professor Mirandi's interview with the so-called British journalists. You see, all of them, they have like this very, they're like robotics. They don't think on their own, because none of them can understand that maybe why are we attacking? Why is there a war in Iran? Why are we attacking Iran? They say American interest, that Iran is attacking American interest in the Gulf region. What is American interest doing in the Gulf region? Has anybody ever asked them that? Secondly, we now know that we sponsored ISIS. And so why is any of these people, they say Iran is the top worst state sponsor of terrorism? Why have none of them ever brought this to any of the American and Israeli diplomats? Why? So, by the way, what's the definition of terrorism again? Now, the last state sponsor of terrorism. Why have none of them ever brought this to any of the American and Israeli diplomats? Why? So, by the way, what's the definition of terrorism again? Now, the last point to this is just a way for me to understand that almost everything I've been told in history, because I'm seeing things with my naked eyes. I'm seeing things live. Almost everything. Thing they've told me about history is a lie, because if I can watch kids protest here about the genocide in Gaza, and they call them, they say they're making Jews uncomfortable. If I see all of those things and I watch them rewrite history in front of my eyes, Mike Pompeo even said it, then it tells me that what about the things that happened when I was not born? How do I believe it? So, I mean, A, for one, is stupid because they're doing a disservice to themselves in their narrative, but B, it is just a way for me to understand that either A, they don't consider the life of the Iranians and all the people in the Middle East the same as the Western lives, or B, they are just hypocrites. I don't know which one it is, but maybe you can help me with that, George.
Well, it's not, it's a false dichotomy, because both of these are true. The blood of the people of the global South, the blood of Arabs, the blood of Muslims, the blood of Persians, is worth to them far, far less than the blood of Westerners. And of course, Israelis are Westerners. I mean, literally, in most cases. General Westmoreland, famously at the height of the Vietnam War, had to explain how it was that if you are killing so many of these Vietnamese, how come they're still fighting? And so he coined the phrase that they don't value their own lives or human lives in general in the same way that we in the West do, which of course coined the phrase that they don't value their own lives or human lives in general in the same way that we in the West do, which of course is a monstrous untruth. What he had to avoid saying was that for surrender to an aggressor is worse than that's the difference between some of us and some of them. But the truth is now, you say, why don't journalists ask this? Why don't people say this? Here's all that needs to be said. The whole world is now at war, facing economic catastrophe, to reopen the Straits of Hormuz, which were